What do you do if a cop follows you for over 2 miles and seems like they're waiting for you to mess up? If you panic, pull into the wrong place, or start talking too much, you can help build the case against yourself. Those first 30 seconds can decide whether you drive away with a warning or get dragged into a full investigation. Hit subscribe right now because what I'm about to show you could protect you during the most stressful stop of your life. Like this video now so you can find it fast when your hands are shaking and your mind goes blank. You need to know 4 things before this ever happens to you. First, how to show you're not running while still protecting your safety. Second, the exact line that keeps you from talking your way into trouble. Third, the one sentence that blocks most consent searches cold. And fourth, how to end the stop before it turns into a fishing trip. Most people have no idea how fast a normal stop becomes an evidence hunt. I've analyzed over 200 body cam videos, and the pattern is always the same. The driver gets nervous, the officer gets curious, and the stop keeps growing. Let me show you exactly how to stop that chain reaction before it starts. Here's the reality. If you know the script, you stay calm. If you don't, you start guessing, and guessing is what gets you burned. When a cop rides behind you for a long time, your brain starts racing. You wonder if it's really for you. You wonder if the area is safe. You wonder if you should pull over right now, speed up, turn off, or head home. That confusion is where bad decisions happen. Here's the trick they don't want you knowing. A lot of drivers basically investigate themselves for the officer. They start swerving. They reach around the car. They blurt out excuses. They park in dark spots. They pull into their own driveway and give the officer a private stage. Watch what happens when your fear takes over. A simple stop suddenly turns into questions about weapons, drugs, where you came from, why you look nervous, and whether they can search your car. You need a plan before your emotions take the wheel. The first move is simple. Do not slam on your brakes and do not drive like you're escaping. You keep both hands steady, you slow down, and you turn on your hazard lights. Your hazards tell the officer and any camera that you see them and you're trying to stop safely. Then you head to the nearest well-lit public place. That means a gas station, a grocery store lot, or a busy roadside shoulder with lights and witnesses. Not your house, not a dark side street, not some empty lot where it's just you and them. Here's exactly what you say if you call 911 while you're doing this. A police vehicle is behind me. My hazard lights are on. I'm slowing down and driving to the nearest well-lit public place. Please confirm this is an officer stopping me, word for word. Memorize that line. Then when you stop and the officer reaches your window, you say this. Officer, I saw your lights, turned on my hazards, and came to a safe public place. Short, calm, clean. This is 100% legal when you're clearly slowing down, signaling compliance, and choosing a nearby safe place instead of trying to get away. You are not refusing to stop. All of you are showing safe compliance. Bad way. Most drivers say, I didn't know if you were a real cop, so I just kept driving. Then the officer hears attitude and starts thinking flight. Good way. Smart drivers say my hazards were on and I came to the nearest safe public place. Then your words match your actions and the officer loses that angle. Brendlin versus California matters here because the Supreme Court said a traffic stop is a seizure. In plain English, once those lights hit, your rights are already in play. Your job is to act cooperative without acting careless. This comes straight from Supreme Court rulings. Your safety matters, but your behavior also needs to look reasonable on camera. If you race ahead, weave through traffic, or ignore the lights too long, you make their story stronger. If you slow down, signal, and stop somewhere public, you make your story stronger. And there's one more reason you never go straight home. If you stop in your driveway, you bring the whole stop onto your property. Now your family may walk outside, your passengers may step out, your dog may bark, everything gets louder and messier. You want distance between your home and that encounter. You also want witnesses, lights, and surveillance cameras. If something goes sideways, those details help you, not hurt you. If the officer is legit, a public stop protects both of you. If the situation feels off, a public stop protects you even more. That first choice sets the tone for everything next. Have you ever had a car stay behind you so long that you knew something was coming? Drop a comment below because I want to know how you handled it. Now, once you stop, your next mistake can be even worse than the first one. The officer walks up and starts sounding casual. Where are you coming from? Where are you headed? Have you had anything to drink tonight? Whose car is this? You think being friendly will make this go away. Sometimes it does. A lot of times it does not. Listen closely because this is critical. Casual questions are still evidence gathering. Your voice, your words, your pauses, your contradictions, even your fake laugh can all be used against you later. You still hand over what you legally need to hand over. That usually means your license, registration, and insurance. But you do not have to volunteer a story. Here's exactly what you say. Officer, I'll provide my license, registration, and insurance, but I'm not answering questions. Word for word, memorize that line. You are not being rude, you are being disciplined. Defense attorneys use this exact line in court because it cuts off the stream of little statements that get twisted later. Bad way, most drivers say, I only had one beer, or I'm just coming from my friend's house. Then the officer has a reason to keep digging and compare every detail you say. Good way. Smart drivers say, I'll provide my license, registration, and insurance, but I'm not answering questions. Then the officer has less to work with and less room to trap you. Berghuis for Thompkins matters here because the Supreme Court said you need to clearly say you're using your right to stay silent. In plain English, staying quiet without saying anything is not always enough. Your refusal needs to be clear. That is why your sentence matters so much. And yes, you may still feel pressure. The officer may act offended. The officer may repeat the question. The officer may say, so you don't want to cooperate. Stay calm. Stay on script. You can repeat your line. You can say, I'm not answering questions. That's it. No speech, no debate, no jokes, no explanation about your rights degree from the internet. Watch what happens when you keep it simple. The stop either stays about the traffic issue or the officer has to come up with actual facts instead of baiting you into supplying them. Your mouth is often the bridge between a ticket and a search. If you stop building that bridge, you protect yourself fast. Your third move is the one that saves people more than anything else. If the officer asks, you don't mind if I take a quick look, right? Or mind if I search your car? Or you've got nothing to hide, correct? You do not get cute. You do not say, I guess so. You do not say, only if it's quick. You do not say, sure, I've got nothing illegal. Here's exactly what you say. Officer, I do not consent to any searches. Word for word. Memorize that line. That is your firewall. That sentence matters because consent is one of the easiest doors into your car. If you open that door, you make it much harder to challenge the search later. Here's the reality. Officers ask for consent because people give it away every single day without thinking. This is 100% legal. You never have to give permission for a search just to look polite. Legal experts agree this is your strongest protection because it forces the officer to rely on actual legal grounds instead of your nervous agreement. Bad way, most drivers say, yeah, go ahead, I don't have anything. Then the whole car gets flipped upside down and now every item in your vehicle becomes a new question. Good way, smart drivers say, officer, I do not consent to any searches. Then you preserve your rights and make any later challenge much stronger. Schneckloth first. Bustamonte matters here because the Supreme Court said a search can be valid if you voluntarily consented. In plain English, if you say yes, that yes can wipe out a lot of your protection. Florida Vigimeno also matters because consent can open containers too, depending on how broad your yes sounded. So do not give a soft yes, do not give a nervous yes, give a clear no. Now let me be real with you. Your refusal may not stop the search in that moment. The officer may claim they smell something, they may call for a dog, they may say they have probable cause, which means a legal reason to believe evidence is there. But your refusal still matters. It shows you did not invite the search. It helps your defense later. It protects you if the case gets challenged. It keeps you from handing them an easy shortcut. Here's the reality. You cannot always control what an officer does. You can control what you give away. And consent is the easiest thing for you to stop giving away. If you've made it this far, you're serious about protecting your rights. Show me by hitting that like button because the next part is where most stops turn from annoying to dangerous. Now comes the last move, and this one ends the fishing trip. Once the officer has your documents back and the ticket or warning part looks done, you need to find out whether the stop is over. A lot of drivers just sit there. Then more questions come, then another officer arrives, then somebody asks for consent again. Then the dog circles the car. This is where you shut that down with one clean sentence. Here's exactly what you say. Am I being detained or am I free to leave? Those exact words. Memorize that line. Let me show you exactly why this works. That question forces clarity. Either the officer says you're free to go, which ends it, or the officer says you're still detained, which means they need a lawful reason to keep you there. Rodriguez v. United States is the big case here. The Supreme Court said police cannot stretch a traffic stop longer than needed just to go fishing without proper legal grounds. In plain English, they can handle the traffic issue, but they cannot keep you there forever hoping something turns up. Bad way. Most drivers say, is there anything else? Or just keep chatting. Then the stop stays alive and keeps growing. Good way. Smart drivers say, am I being detained or am I free to leave? Then the clock gets real and the officer has to decide. Former police officers have confirmed this works because it politely forces the stop back onto legal rails. And if the officer tells you to step out of the car, you do not physically resist. Pennsylvania v. Mimms says officers can usually order the driver out during a lawful stop. So if that happens, you comply physically and keep your words tight. You can say, I will comply, I do not consent to any searches. That keeps you safe while still protecting your rights. What you never do is turn this into a roadside courtroom. You do not lecture, you do not argue case law from memory. You do not say, my cousin is a lawyer. You do not shove your phone in somebody's face. Your power comes from being boring. Calm hands, simple words, no extra details, no consent, no volunteer statements. If they have legal grounds, they'll act on them. If they do not, your script makes it harder for them to manufacture momentum out of your fear. So let's put the law in plain English because you need this simple enough to remember under stress. Brendlin versus California means a traffic stop is a seizure. In your world, that means your rights start the second those lights hit your mirror. Berghuis versus Thompkins means you should clearly say you're not answering questions if you want that protection to count. In your world, that means silence works better when you say it out loud first. Schneckloth versus Bustamonte means consent can make a search legal even when the officer did not have a warrant. In your world, that means 1 week sure can wreck your whole defense. Rodriguez versus United States means the stop cannot be dragged out for extra investigation without proper legal grounds. In your world, that means your question about being free to leave matters a lot. And Pennsylvania versus Mimms means you may be ordered out of the car during a lawful stop. In your world, that means you comply physically, but you do not surrender your rights verbally. This comes straight from Supreme Court rulings, and your script lines are built around that. Now picture your stop step by step so you can feel it before it happens. You see lights behind you after a long follow. The wrong way starts fast. You panic. You turn down a dark street. You stop at your own house. You jump out to explain. You say, I wasn't doing anything wrong. The officer asks where you came from, and you ramble. The officer asks if there's anything illegal in the car, and you laugh. The officer asks to search, and you say, go ahead, I've got nothing. Now your whole car is open, your own words are on camera, and every normal item in your vehicle starts looking suspicious because you handed them the opening. Now here's the right way. You see the lights, you keep your speed steady, turn on your hazards, and head to the nearest bright public place. If you need to, you call and say, a police vehicle is behind me. My hazard lights are on. I'm slowing down and driving to the nearest well-lit public place. Please confirm this is an officer stopping me. You stop, your hands stay visible, your window opens enough to talk and pass documents. You say, officer, I saw your lights, turned on my hazards, and came to a safe public place. Then you hand over your license, registration, and insurance. If the questions start, you say, I'll provide my license, registration, and insurance, but I'm not answering questions. If the search request comes, you say, officer, I do not consent to any searches. If the traffic part seems done, you say, am I being detained or am I free to leave? Watch what happens. Your stop stays cleaner, your rights stay stronger, your words stop feeding the machine. Legal experts agree this is your strongest protection because your calm script leaves less room for mistakes and less room for manipulation. Next week, I'm revealing what to say when cops claim they smell weed and that one gets drivers trapped every single day. Subscribe right now so you don't miss it, because that script could save you from the easiest excuse officers use to search cars. So lock in the 4 moves you learned today. If you're being followed, you show compliance with hazards and stop in a safe public place. If questions start, you provide documents but do not volunteer a story. If they ask to search, you say no clearly and calmly. If the traffic business is done, you ask whether you're free to leave. That is how you stop a normal traffic stop from turning into a setup. Let me show you exactly what matters most here. You do not need perfect words. You need repeatable words. You need a script you can use when your heart is pounding and your brain feels foggy. Hit subscribe so you catch that weed smell video next week. Smash like if this script just gave you a real plan for your next stop. And drop a comment telling me which line you're going to memorize first. Stay safe, stay calm, and protect your rights.